Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to season 2 of Conversations in Pop Culture, where I have with me cosplayer Will I Am Fit. So, welcome to the show because I'm excited.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, as I said, I'm excited because there's a lot I want to talk about with you, and I know that you're new to cosplay, which is also very exciting. And I like talking to male cosplayers because they're the hardest group to track down, apparently, in my interviewing. And so I think the best place to start is how you got into cosplay.
So about I grew up in the comics. I grew up in New York City. Was real heavy into comics, and what really got me into comics was I just loved to draw. So when I was young, I used to really just save up some pennies, buy comics just so I could draw the pictures out of them. And then once I got older, it was a few years ago. Um, so I'll say a few years ago. It's probably about 8 years ago. So I came across my first con in Raleigh. It was me, my wife, and two friends of ours that were out eating dinner one night, and we was eating outside on outside patio, and I seen a couple of people walk by with just I think like anime T-shirts on, so I didn't think nothing of it. And then I seen somebody walk past as Vegeta, and I was like, wait a minute, what in the world? So then somebody else is dressed up as somebody in anime. So I asked the waitress what was going on, and it was like, oh yeah, they have a local anime con at the convention center. So I was like, huh, what's that? So I got interested, so I went down there, and I was just blown away. Like my wife thought it was the weirdest thing, but I was just blown away just seeing that. Like wow, like so many people was out, and like I mean cosplays that they done put a lot of money into on down to just cosplays that you could tell they just put a lot of time and effort into. And they may not have, the finances invested into it, but you could tell they just put like a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it. And I was like, man, this is dope. It's like, so me and my buddies, I was telling my buddies about it, and they was like, yeah, man, one of my buddies, he goes to a local con down in Florida, and I was telling him, and he's real big into LARPing, and he was saying that he was gonna do a cosplay for a con. So I was like, man, that'd be pretty tight. So then, so I was just trying to think of something to do, and then that's when my biggest thing, I was like, well, I wanted something comfortable. So then, I,
You're back. Oh no. I don't know what's going on. But you're back now.
there you go, there you go. Yeah, sorry, man. It might be me. I'm like I said, I'm sitting out in the car because my son got baseball practice tonight till 7:30. So, so I may not have the best reception.
So obviously you cut off going down to Florida.
Oh yeah, so that's what my buddy. He's a real big, huge Batman fan. And he was saying like his man cave, he got a bunch of like figures and stuff, and he was saying he wants to do like an authentic, official Batman cosplay. And I was like, man. And I was just a huge fan of Bane. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do a Bane cosplay for my first one. And I was like, it was pretty simple because I was like, I could just get some armor fatigue pants, some military boots, and I just had the mask and the vest. And like when I went to the con, like it was a hit. Like everybody loved it. I was like, oh man, this is dope. Because it's just that one place that where I could just kind of go, just express my fandom, and it's like everybody's into it, like so it was just so cool to me just to see how like the comic culture is in just today's society, like because when I was coming up it was like if you was into that kind of stuff ain't nobody want to talk to you. You got made fun
You're
of.
significantly older than me, I think, but I'm 28, and I grew up in a period where you wouldn't get shoved into a locker, but people didn't get anime. You were made fun of for watching anime. You were made fun of for
Right,
reading comics. You were made
right,
fun of for playing Pokemon, and now everybody's doing it, and everybody is stoked
exactly.
about it. And now all the cool kids have all these comic books, and I'm a
Yep.
comic book investor. For those who don't know, and everybody who listens to me knows I'm big into comic books. Yeah, I have
Okay.
a side hustle with it. So now I have all these books that are worth a lot of money. And I
Gotcha.
was
There you
kidding.
go.
So, but I digress right there. So let's talk about Bane, because obviously Bane, I don't know if you know, I got to interview Chuck Dixon, who created Bane.
Hmm.
And so from Nightfall. And so I love Bane. And obviously Bane got really big with the Dark Knight series
Right.
and everything that's been done with that. And so what even inspired you to want to do Bane?
Like he was just such a dope character to me from the Dark Knight. I mean, like Bane was always cool to me from when he was from like the Batman animated cartoons and stuff, but just the Bane in the Dark Knight series, he was just such a dope character because he was like ruthless, he was fearless, and it's like he had his one goal in mind was basically to burn down Gotham, and he knew that he was going to be a part of that goal, and he had no issues with it. And it was like, and just to see it, like I laugh all the time because I said, like that one fight when he fought Batman in the sewer, I was like, he literally narrated his own fight as he was beating the brakes off of Batman. So I was like, just his character was just a dope character to me, and I would like the boys with the mask on, and I was like, man, like I was just so intrigued by just his character all along. So I was like, yeah, I think that would be one that I would. And then I also think too because when I went to the first con, I just normally wore just a T-shirt, just an X-Men T-shirt or something, and it seemed like everybody was doing kind of the same costumes. I mean, you've seen a bunch of Batmans, you've seen a bunch of Supermans, seen several Flashes. Like it was almost like most of the most popular characters people were cosplaying. But I was like, I don't think I've seen any Banes from the Dark Knight Rises. I've seen one or two from the old Banes with the full mask on and all. I was like, I'm nowhere near that big to do that one. So and I'm kind of a fitness junkie too. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do the Bane Dark Knight Rises.
And
so
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 to even talk about this going further, because your Bane and the Dark Knight Rises Bane is in many ways a simpler cosplay than
right.
the others, but it's also complicated. And I don't know if you made your mask or if you made components of it or you pieced it together. And
No, no, the mask was just bought off a website. It was basically all primarily just like plastic and PVC. I don't got the skills like that to try to piece together my own mask though. But like you said, that was one of the things too where it's it's a fairly non-complicated cosplay to put together. I mean, I just bought the vest. I found the vest on it might have been Etsy or something. Found the mask on another website. It wasn't too expensive. Bought the gauntlet, and then the others I had armor fatigue pants at the house that a buddy of mine let me borrow, and just like regular just field boots. So it was
because
one of those. What's
Because
that?
one of the things that's going on with cosplay is that there is a big divide
Hmm.
between people saying, "Oh, you didn't build it yourself," versus you put it together,
Right,
and that is slowly, I think, dissipating because the whole point of cosplay is to be that character at a con and have fun with it.
right,
And why does it matter if you made it yourself first and you put it together, or you made parts of it and you commissioned out part of it? And there's a whole purist attitude that is
right.
slowly dissipating. And I personally don't care either
I don't care.
way, because the whole point to me is that it's supposed to be fun. I enjoy
Right,
seeing people who do both things because it is a skill set to put things together and piece it together.
hmm,
And I go and hire people out to do things I don't want to do, and I don't see why it's any different with cosplay.
right. Exactly. And I totally agree. I mean, like you said, if you got the skill set to piece it together and it comes out, the way you envision it, awesome. Like as a matter of fact, my buddy that I went to the San Diego con with, who when I had my Green Lantern on, and he was the Red Hood, and that was basically all him. Like he built the vest himself. He wore just his regular leather jacket over it. I think he bought just a raw mask, and he went ahead and weathered it up himself, painted it himself. And I was like, that's what's up. It came out dope. But it wasn't him bashing me or me bashing him because he pieced his together and I bought mine the way it was. I mean, like you said, I feel like it's just all about you just doing the best job possible and being that character um at a con or wherever. So
And then one of the things I like about you is that you are a fitness junkie. Obviously, you're
hmm
a lot more fit than me. I am lazy. I am not fit. I really do need to get into shape. I am the first person that COVID has not treated well, and I'm slowly getting back to it. drinking like 4 or 5 waters a day. That's the goal for starters.
There you go.
But
You
you
gotta
have
start
some
somewhere.
muscles. You have some muscles on you, and obviously Bane and your Bane cosplay get to show it off. And I'm not here to shame anybody for their physical appearances, but it's kind of nice when a character has muscles and you have muscles. Actually, and you
Appreciate it.
have muscles. So what is that like? Because it definitely adds a very aesthetic feel to it versus seeing, a character who's not as jacked or a guy who's not as jacked as you are.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I ain't gonna say I've always been into fitness. Growing up, I was just always into sports. But it is pretty cool knowing that I could just wear the cosplay and just be myself. And and I don't got nothing against guys who get the muscle suits. I mean, that looks awesome too. I mean, but I just felt, I like for me, one, it was kind of a cost thing because I looked at both. When I was inquiring about just different cosplays, I would kind of get the cost for what it would be with the muscle suit versus what it would be just a regular like a Zentai suit or whatever. And then I just said to myself, you know what, I'm gonna just save money, just continue to just push hard, work out, and just try to fill the suit out myself. So I
Because
look at
you've
it that way.
done stuff in the fitness world and you've done competitions and
Hmm.
bodybuilding stuff, and I don't know exactly what that's technically called, but obviously
Yeah,
you
it's
got
bodybuilding.
into shape and you were part of a massive competition, and I think you've come into a bunch of places. I know that you had something you came in fourth, and
Hmm.
also just like this massive journey, and you got into some serious shape, and it's kind of nice, I'd imagine, to look somewhat like a superhero.
Right. Oh yeah. Like I mean, that's one of the things that I did get compliments on. Was the fact that, like you said, like when I wore my Green Lantern, I had a few people saying like, "Man, like you look good in that cosplay. Like you wear it well." And to be truthfully honest, because my Green Lantern is literally a Sentai suit. It's just one giant spandex suit. When I first put it on, I was uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie. But
So,
once I
so, so
kind of got the
let's
compliment,
talk
I'm like,
about
okay,
Green Lantern before we get too far ahead of ourselves. Obviously, you were
okay,
that San Diego Comic Con. So you go
yeah,
to San Diego Comic Con. I don't know how many cons you've been to before San Diego, but San Diego is in the big 2 or 3 at this point. And
right,
obviously, this is pre-COVID. This is pre-COVID. I want to make that perfectly clear
yep,
before I get attacked. This is pre-COVID. And so now you're out in Green Lantern. You're at San Diego. San Diego's huge, and
hmm,
it pretty much occupies a bunch of blocks.
yeah,
Every big comic player is there. Every big cosplayer is there. A bunch
hmm.
of people are there that in the industry and all over. Celebrity Alley's crazy. And so, what was that like being
Um,
Green Lantern?
Oh man, that whole experience was amazing. Because prior to that, the only con that I've been to was just our local cons here in the Raleigh Durham area, North Carolina, which is of course significantly smaller than the San Diego con. So that whole experience was just amazing. I mean, because not only is you got this huge convention center full of you know all things fandom, pop culture, but then it's like everything surrounding the area also caters to Comic Con. Like the restaurants change their menus to cater to all things pop culture, and the streets blocked off. You could go to a bar at night. Like we went to the bar at night, and like the Power Rangers walked in dressed in full cosplay, and it's like the norm. And like that whole experience was just out of this world. I mean, and I'm just walking down the street and like people that's just directing traffic. It was like, hey, it's John Stewart. That's what's up. And people stop you that's not even going to the con. Like little kids run up to you. Can I take a picture with you? And so that whole experience was just amazing. Like that's one that me and my buddies, my closest friends that I grew up with, we said that's gonna kind of be like if we're able to get tickets, yeah, because getting tickets is extremely tough. But we're gonna try to go like as often as we go as possible, like as our means to kind of just get up together again, all see each other since we all live in different places now, and just express our fandom.
And so obviously you're Green Lantern, and then you're walking around, and then you're with Red Hood, and I think it's Red Hood, right?
Yeah, yeah, he's a Red Hood.
And so your friend's Red Hood, you're Green Lantern. Obviously, Red Hood and Green Lantern in the DC universe, I think they have interactions, but they're usually not interacting with each other for the most
Right.
part. But what was that even like to just be with another DC character? Obviously, you sort of had yours was pre-built and his was fully built, but
Hmm.
again, no ragging, and even that experience.
Right. It was cool. Because for one of the things that we noticed when we got there, because we made up our minds prior to, we said we were trying to decide what we were going to cosplay. So we all kind of was like, "Ah, we just gonna go full DC." So that's when I decided to do Green Lantern. And I wanted to do John Stewart because I haven't seen many Green Lantern cosplays at the cons I went to, but most of the ones that I have seen were primarily Hal Jordan. So I was like, I want to do John Stewart. I said, hey, I mean, he's a black guy, he's bald headed, perfect. So I was like, so that's what I wanted to do. And I mean, it was cool because it wasn't a lot of DC cosplays. And like I said, I think I've seen one other Green Lantern. There was a guy dressed as Hal Jordan. I seen a couple of Batmans, maybe one or two Supermans, but it was just like flooded with Marvel cosplays, like basically the whole weekend. So it was kind of cool because we were kind of like that chosen few that decided to go with DC over Marvel, at least at that con. So
And then also even just wearing the suit, because I've never worn a Green Lantern suit. I've never worn, I don't even know what those suits are. I'm not a cosplayer,
I
so
got you.
that, like, getting comfortable with that, also making sure it fits, because I mean you're a pretty fit guy, you're pretty jacked, and that can be challenging to some degree when your body isn't the normal body to make it
Right.
work.
So, yeah. So when I ordered the cosplay, it was pretty cool because the site that I ordered it from, they try what they do is they literally take all your measurements. Like when I pay for it and and send them my information, they wanted all my measurements so that way they could get it as close as possible to my measurements. So what I actually did was I think I knew that it was a spandex suit. So I think I sent them my measurements, but I might have added an inch or two because I was like, I'd rather it be a little bit too big than I can't move in it. So but it was real cool. So then like I said, when I first put it on, you know, I walked out the bathroom and I was like, man, I feel weird because I mean, you're just vulnerable because it's like you're just literally in a big spandex suit. So I was like, man, I feel weird. But then it was like as I'm walking around before, we took a cab to the con because you couldn't find any parking within a mile. And so we took a cab or Uber to get there close enough. And then, just as we're walking up, people like stop you in the street, like, "Oh, it's John Stewart, what's up, man?" And taking pictures. And I think the more people was showing me love, the more comfortable I got. And I was like, okay, this isn't so bad because it's kind of like that subconscious, like, people, what people going to say, And then on top of the fact, I'm like, man, I hope I don't move too quick or something and bust up out this thing.
So that's what I was about to ask, because one of the things that's going on in cosplay, and I know you're still new to it, is that 5 years ago there was a lot firmer material, and people weren't sitting at conventions not because they didn't want to, but because they couldn't and their cosplays weren't comfortable. And now there is a big move away from being 100% authentic and suffering. And some people like to suffer, and pain is therapy, to each their own. But
Right.
it's this idea that there is this idea of going to spandex suits where it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. You don't need to have a Spider-Man suit. I'm just using Spider-Man as an example that is full
Right.
scaled out. You can, take a little bit of an easier route, so you could actually sit down and
Yeah.
sit in a panel. And even that concern, and also making sure the material is strong enough, because the worst thing that could happen if you're in a spandex suit and you're not wearing anything underneath is like it rips. It's going to become a bigger issue.
Right. Right. Yeah, and like I said, that was one of the things. But I mean, it wasn't too uncomfortable. I think it was just me being uncomfortable because it was like I said, prior to that, the only other cosplay I had was my Bane, and like I said, that's just the best. Some armor fatigue pants, so you're fairly comfortable in that, because it's just kind of like almost like everyday wear. But
And,
then walking
and
around
less
in
things
that,
can go wrong. Less things can go
right,
wrong with your
right,
Bane.
exactly, exactly. So, but
There is a great photo though at San Diego, and I think it's on We Are Black Cosplay, or I'm not
yeah,
exactly sure, that Instagram page, and I'm sure you know the Instagram page, and I want to give them
yeah,
credit, but because I was just scrolling through Instagram and it popped up, and it's you jumping up in the air, and then Red Hood is right next to you, and it looks like you're flying or hovering, much like a Green Lantern would. And so, how was that shot taken? Who took that shot? And because that had to be intentional, right? Or was it
well,
accidental?
it's my lantern ring, man. My lantern ring, gave me the power to levitate. So,
Because
nah,
it's a crazy shot, because it's
right.
just like one of those shots. And how is that done? Because obviously, I'm assuming you weren't attached to a wire.
No, no. So yeah, it was intentional. We were just like I said, it was just three of us. We were trying to brainstorm just cool picture ideas, and I think I got the idea because it was somebody that was taking pictures because that San Diego Comic Con wall is long, so you got people kind of all around taking their own photos and stuff too, and there was a guy dressed as Miles Morales, and he like did a backflip like right there, just a backflip from standing still, and they was taking pictures. I was like, oh man, that'd be pretty dope. And then I started thinking, I was like, yo, I'm gonna try to jump. So it took like two or three attempts, and then after the first two attempts, he didn't get me just right, and then that's when we was like, I think my other partner was like, do a burst shot. So he was like, good idea. So then that's what we did. So he literally did a burst shot from the time I was about to jump. And when I got to like my highest peak, I tried to just hold my posture as still as possible until I landed. And then with the burst shot, it was a bunch of shots taken throughout the whole motion. So then we were kind of able to just scroll through the burst to see which one had the best pose. And then we just saved that pose as the main shot. So it was tough though. I was tired.
And then how did it even get onto that Instagram? Because was it just thrown onto your Instagram and then they picked it up? Because
No, yeah, I was gonna say no. I think I stumbled across them just through Instagram. By just be searching because I know I follow a lot of different cosplayers and stuff just to show them love and kind of see what they got going on. And I think that's how I stumbled across them. And I think when I went to their page, they actually had I think on their page it was like, hey, DM us if you want us to show some love and post your picture. So I actually sent them that picture. I was like, here's a picture of me and a buddy of mine that's in San Comic Con. If you feel it's cool enough, love for you to post it. And sure enough, probably about a week or so later, that's when I got tagged back in it and they posted it. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Because I mean, I'm going to say this very politely. They have a much bigger following than a lot
Right.
of small cosplayers, and all these
Hmm.
cosplay groups definitely boost up a lot of people who are not, necessarily just starting out. And it was a
Right.
big boost, I think, for you as well in many ways, because now you're in front of a lot more people, and so
Hmm.
that's super important. Us
Oh yeah.
podcasters, we don't have that yet.
Got you. Yeah. It was definitely a pretty cool experience. Like I said, I was shocked and I felt the love when they tagged me back in and then posted it on their page. So I thought that was awesome.
And then there's also a cool photo with you in Zoom. And
Oh
I,
yeah, yeah. So that was pretty cool. It was a guy that I just met there, and so we took some pretty cool pictures. And matter of fact, my buddy, shout out to Fat Tony Zato, he's the one that was dressed as the Red Hood. He does art. So he does like a lot of like photo art, cartoon drawing art, uh I can't even think of the name of it, photoshopping and stuff like that. So when we took the pictures, of course it was just standard pictures, and then that's when he went ahead and took them, and he kind of added like a lot of special effects to it to make it look like he was moving fast and gave me like the green eyes and stuff like that. So that actually came out pretty cool.
so what is that like to take a photo and then have somebody being able to edit it? Because it's really cool when you get awesome shots without edits, and
Right.
those are always nice. But obviously, we live in a world where things now really do need to be edited a lot more.
Hmm.
It's nice to do something like this, which is straight up live. And
Right.
obviously, there's merit to that, and nobody can backtrack on anything per se, and it's also raw. But it's also really cool to have those special effects in there because it does give it that comic thing. I mean, I don't know. I think everybody's seen the Snyder Cut in Justice League. Like
Yeah.
that
Hmm.
looks like a comic book, and
Right.
these
Right.
photos look like they're comic book photos versus me just taking a photo on my iPhone.
Right. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, that's one thing about my buddy because that's what he does. He doesn't do it for a living, but he does it on the side, and he loves doing it. So, like, whenever, like, because we got our text group, whenever we send him pictures, we'll post pictures of just us and the family, or us and the kids, or something. He'll come up with a crazy idea of like, "Hey, I'm gonna edit this and send it back." So when he seen those shots, they were like, 'cause I think he took it on his portrait mode or his camera, so the shots were like crystal clear, and that's when he was like, "Hey, I got some ideas. I'm gonna hook these up and send them out." And I mean, he does it in a jiffy. So, and like you said, when he added those special effects to it, it just kind of gave it a whole new flavor to it. It was just like, oh man, the regular picture looked cool, but that right there was like the icing on the cake. So definitely a cool experience. and then
Yeah.
having somebody so close to me that can do it.
And obviously, I mean, you're still new to cosplay, and I think these are the only two that you have out there. But I am
Yeah.
curious what is in your head and even what inspires you, because I have a feeling you're long from done at this point. But obviously, 2020 has been a nightmare with conventions.
Mhm.
2021, things are starting to turn around. But what do you have in the works as far
Well,
as cosplays and other things coming out?
yeah, so the next one I'm actually got that I actually have, I was planning to, because we got tickets to go to the next San Diego Comic Con, which was supposed to be last year. Then again, it got postponed, and it was supposed to be this year, but they postponed it again. So we're planning to go next year, hopefully. But I actually have a Bishop from the '90s X-Men, um, Lucas Bishop. So because I was a huge, like growing up, I was a huge Jim Lee X-Men fan, and like that '90s X-Men show. I mean, I still watch it to this day. Like if I'm working out or something, I have it on in the garage. And so I got a Bishop cosplay that I got made, and it's just hanging in my closet. I haven't even worn it yet because I got it made to go to the San Diego Con last year, which, like I said, got canceled, and then was going to plan the debut with this year. So same thing. So that's the next one that I got in the works right now. The full cosplay is pretty much done. I just kind of got to get my weapons and all that, and then I'll be good to go. But I got that made from Napier, which is a cosplay designer. I think they're out of like Mexico. But they do an awesome job. I'm a fan of they do a lot of Batmans and stuff. I'm a huge fan of their Batman work because I've seen a lot of their work in person prior to. So that's the next one that I'm working on now. And that are not too pop. I can't tell you how many fat Thors I done seen and how many Spider-Man I done seen.
Here we go. And we're back. Hopefully.
Yeah, I know it.
I don't know if you can see me, hear me. Love technology. Oh boy.
Yeah, I got this bad. I'm out here, like again, sitting in the parking lot. My son should be coming out by another 2, 3 days.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Now I think we're good.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. Yeah, I can hear you.
So I think we got like cut off on half of that. so
Gotcha.
so obviously
Um,
Bishop is coming, and that was
but yeah, I was saying that.
what were you saying?
Yeah. Right. Right. So that's the next one that I play. Yeah, Bishop is the next one that I got sit in my closet just waiting. So I think I'm gonna wear that to the con next year when we go back to San Diego. So we were trying to do the all of us are trying to do 90s X-Men. So that's kind of going to be our theme. So we all going to try to do some sort of 90s X-Men character when we go next year. So
And to even talk about that and even San Diego, because obviously 2020 was a nightmare, as I stated. Every con was canceled, delayed,
can you hear me?
postponed, and then eventually canceled if it wasn't already canceled. 2020, a bunch of stuff was canceled. A bunch of stuff has been
Right.
punted already. And then obviously San Diego is now taking place on Thanksgiving weekend, which is going to be a nightmare in of
Mm-hmm.
itself. And so obviously, being that you're a new cosplayer, what has that been like for you? Because for experienced cosplayers, it's a very different scenario for them versus for people who just got into the industry
Yeah.
and into cosplaying because you can't just throw a closet cosplay together when it's your first year in doing this. And also, it's super weird, I would imagine. So I don't know, like
Right.
how has that been for you? Just the complete like you're getting into cosplay and then it just shuts down completely.
Mhm. Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's so um, because I was definitely looking forward to it. Like I said, I enjoy going to cons. I can hear you, but you can't hear me.
Yeah, I
Can
can
you hear
hear
me
you
now?
now. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
cool. Yeah, I was saying it definitely. Yeah, I can hear you. Yes, sir. Yeah, it definitely sucked. Because I was definitely looking forward to it. It really sucked too because it was like prior to the pandemic hitting, I already kind of got things started with the bishop, and then like you said, not only did I shut all of the cons down, but it also shut a lot of the designers, cosplay designers, and all down too. So it took extra long for my cosplay to finally get there. But it was something I was definitely looking forward to. Definitely looking forward to just getting with my buddies, going back out there to San Diego again, just experiencing that con, displaying the new cosplay. And then I'm also now getting more into collecting comics again myself. So I was also looking forward to going to see what comics I could pick up and stuff like that. So yeah, last year really sucked.
And to even talk about this, because obviously I have a lot of friends in the comic industry, and
Hmm.
one of my friends just went to a con, and what he was saying is that all these people they have their list and they're looking for particular books. They're looking
Yeah.
for what's on their list and nothing else. And I buy and sell comics too, and I'm understanding that people are looking for certain things and that it's really going to be a tough road in a lot of ways, and things are opening back up. And
Hmm.
obviously, I've been speaking to a lot of cosplayers, and a lot of people in the cosplay community are confused as well. So, where do you
Right.
think that it's all going with cons and everything? Because it's going to be the summer where literally every con that didn't happen in the last 16 months is going to be hitting this summer. And I know
Right.
people are going, but I'm not going to a con so quickly due to financial positions as
Yeah.
well as I don't know if there's anything that's going to be attractive for me at a con. I don't
Right.
know as a panelist what it's going to look like and social distancing and who's going to
Hmm.
show up. And I don't even know if people are going to say, hey, I want to go to a con, or if they're going to say, I'd rather wait another year and then go
Hmm.
bigger than I would have gone than go half-assing it this year into the unknown. And so I'm
Right.
curious where you think of all of that, because you've been to a few cons, and
Hmm.
obviously I have my perspective with what I know, but everybody's different, and I don't know what you're feeling on it and what your battle plan is even going
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think when the cons first start opening back up, I think they're not going to be to start. They're not going to be as big as they have been in the past. I can see the ones that's opening up this year probably being maybe 50 to 60% capacity in comparison to what it has been in the past. I actually do plan to go to our local con in July, but I'm not dressing up. I was because my nephews and my son's been asking to go, so I was just going to just go for one day, like on a Friday, to take them all, just so they can experience it, see what comics I can get. But I'm also curious about that myself, as far as like what's the guidelines going to be, what's the social distance policies going to be. So that's why I wasn't really going to dress up or anything. I was just going to throw on a Marvel T-shirt, call it a day, and just take them so they can have that experience. But I do agree that I think it is going to take some time before we kind of get back to full capacity. Hopefully by next year things will be looking better. Like I said, people's finances will be better, people be in better positions. We'll have a whole lot less cases where people even just feel comfortable coming back out and going. Because I think that's also another factor. You just have some people that are just not comfortable yet being in the mix of crowds and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be at least another year or two.
and I think it's also very economical because
Right.
it's not just an economical because the vendor needs to be making money and the consumer needs to
Hmm.
have money. I go to a
Yeah.
con, I bring $1,000, and I'm buying graded comic books. I'm buying comics that I buy and sell. I'm buying
Right.
exclusive merch. And I could tell you that if I'm to go to a con, I have $300. I don't have 1,000 right now, just because
Right.
I have a
Right.
share of assets. And I'm saving my money for a rainy day because I'm one of those people that I think it's gonna, take a while before it gets better. And
Yeah.
so that's why I'm so curious because I view it from a panelist and a business side because I'm in the business of selling and buying comps on eBay. And I tend
Gotcha.
to deal with, a certain class of merchandise where I did deal with a high, mid, range merchandise range position. And it's just, I see it very differently. And that's why I'm so curious how you see it and everybody else. And so obviously, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm not going to a con. I might go to a con in September,
Hmm.
but then again, I haven't decided yet on how I
Right.
feel because for all we know, something else could be hitting. It could be way more complicated.
Oh yeah.
Restrictions. I live in Connecticut. I don't know what restrictions are going to look like in Connecticut, and I don't know what this thing's going to look like in September, where it
Right.
could be a financial nightmare for everybody. So,
Yeah.
it,
I agree.
and so it's very complicated. And all I know is that also I think San Diego and New York Comic Con, are going to be the last cons, and I think the big cons are going to be the last ones to open up because
Right.
you're dealing with 100,000 people. The consequences of somebody catching something is much greater than if you're dealing with 1,000 people.
Right. Right. And I think like even the one that you talked about that San Diego's putting on this Thanksgiving, like I don't see that being nowhere near capacity because I think about when they posted those dates because I follow them on Facebook and Instagram, and I know a lot of people that was commenting was like, "Man, that's Thanksgiving weekend. I'm I'm not trying to go to a con. I'm gonna be with my family and stuff like that." So,
I
I,
think it's very much the Thanksgiving thing is going to be very weird. It's going to
hmm
be very bizarre. And
yeah,
I think that it's just going to be one of those things where it's sort of distasteful in a lot of ways.
right,
And I think
yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of people feel that way. And I don't, who also, I went to a con in December and nobody had any money at the con in December.
gotcha,
It was a great time. I did a
right,
Christmas panel. It was an anime con. It was snowing. I had a great time, but the con was maybe 70% full. And this was
gotcha,
way before COVID hit, maybe like 3 years ago. And it was a great time. It was very intimate, the con. But I could tell
hmm
that the vendors at that con did not do as well as they would have done if it was in October.
right,
And so
right,
that's
gotcha,
what I think is going to happen at San Diego is that I don't think those people are going to do as well as they think
right.
they're going to do. But that's
I,
just how I feel.
yeah, I agree. I'm kind of wondering if it's just a way to kind of give vendors an opportunity to try to make up some of their losses from the last year. That's why that's kind of just what my thought is as of why they're possibly doing it in November, knowing that they're planning to do it again, the actual one in July of next year. But I agree. I think it is definitely going to be a weird time. I don't think, like you said, I don't think they're going to do as well as they expect to do at least.
And so it's just going to be a weird one for me to even watch. And I'm just sitting that one
Right.
out. I have no desire to go to San Diego. It's too big for me. I personally I find 25,000 people to be a perfect convention size. Anything above
Right.
that is just too big. It's too big.
Right.
And that there's just 100,000 people. It's just too much. I went to New York Comic Con once. Never again. Never again.
Gotcha.
Not a fun time, but very very daunting.
Yeah.
But anyhow, on that note, I do want to give you an opportunity to self promote yourself. I don't want to take you away from keeping your kid out of the car. So
No problem. Yeah, no, again, man, I definitely appreciate the opportunity. Like I said, I mean, anybody out there, y'all can follow me, will.i.m.fit. I'm on Instagram. Like I said, I'm a new cosplayer, fitness junkie as well, family man, most of all. And I just love all things, just fandom, all things Marvel, like yourself. I'm starting to get back into collecting comics. And I just love the fact that how now it's just so ingrained in just normal culture. And I guess that's one of the things. Like I watched the NBA game a couple of weeks ago, and it was like Marvel Night, where it was like the players, they had certain players representing certain teams, and like whoever had the most points got to be like in the next Avengers issue or something. I was like, see, 20, like I'm 38. I'm like 20 years ago, that was not even a thought. So so that's one of the things that I do enjoy about it now. So yeah, so like I said, definitely looking forward to things opening back up and trying to get back to some sense of normalcy.
And I've been saying this with everybody, and I'm going to keep saying it again, is you have to support indie. What that means is that you have to support people who buy me a coffee, PayPal links, Cash Apps, all that stuff. It is super, super important. I have my links up above for a reason,
Okay.
because you got to support indie, and that means that if you're supporting, support your cosplayers. If they have prints, buy me a coffee, PayPal link, super important. Support your podcasters, support people who you like and you want to see more of their content,
Oh
because
yeah.
most people in this industry are not, making money on it. And every dollar helps to cover their costs to produce content. And if you enjoy it, it goes a long way. A
Yes, sir.
dollar goes a long way in my world.
Oh
But
yeah.
I get it economically. Again, I've shored up a lot of assets in the last 6 months in my personal life. And I get that there are so many people that I wish I could, support, economically through Kickstarters and Patreons and
Hmm.
buy me a coffee and all that stuff. And I have to be very selective
Yeah.
on who I support, when I support them, why I support them. And I get it. And, unfortunately, COVID has done a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And even moving forward, I'm going to be very selective. But if you're in that circumstance, and please don't go into debt, make sure your mortgage is paid for, your rent, you got food, electricity,
Right.
water. Make sure your husband, wife, spouse, partner,
Hmm.
make sure they're good. Also, if you have kids, make sure your kids are okay. That is super important. If you have a pet, make sure your pet's okay. Make sure you have
Absolutely.
internet and Netflix. It might just save your life. Um,
Oh yeah. You're
you
right.
super important. Super important. You can go stir crazy if you're not watching
Yes.
something entertaining. But Disney Plus, if you're more into comics, and HBO Max is probably the way to go now anyway for the
Yeah.
comic stuff. But yeah,
That's
I
right.
digress right there. I don't get a kickback from them. I don't. I swear, I don't get a kickback from those companies. Um,
Got you.
but I do own AT&T stock, so invertedly, I keep just boosting that out. Anyhow,
There you go.
but what you should be doing is following people on social media. That is
Hmm.
free. It means the world to people. It is super important as well, because that is another way how to not financially, but support people, and it
Yes, sir.
does lead to financial opportunities. There's plenty of people that Hot Topic is giving out partnerships, and if certain people have a level of engagement, those
Hmm.
partnerships are now being given. And so, following people on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all those places do matter. And so
Oh yeah.
that's pretty much what you should be doing, regardless of supporting financially to people and monetarily. You should be supporting on social media because it makes a difference. And so
Yeah.
obviously you have
No,
an
I agree.
Instagram, so everybody should be following your Instagram.
That's sir. I appreciate it, man. Definitely appreciate that. I appreciate this opportunity as well.
And so on that note, I'm going to give you the opportunity for the final word.
No, again, man, I just definitely appreciate this opportunity. Appreciate coming out here, just speaking with you about pop culture. Thanks for definitely showing me the love. Show you the love back. And all y'all that's out there watching, appreciate y'all taking time out of y'all day to watch.
Absolutely, and I think that's a wrap.
All right, cool. Peace, everybody.